What a win it was Saturday against Texas Tech as TCU won its second game in a row, and all of a sudden they're kind of looking rosy in the Big 12 picture. Welcome in, everybody, to the All Horned Frogs podcast, part of the All-City Network cavalcade of podcasts. We're in downtown Dallas at the DLLS studios for episode 8. More good stuff to talk about again this week, and some new stuff with basketball getting ready to start up. Coming up today, TCU running back Trent Battle at 245-ish. The closer, Jamie Plunkett of 247 Sports. He'll be closing things out at 3:15. But before we get to our guests, let's play some catch-up. All right, the Frogs are hot. The football Frogs are hot. Winners of 2 in a row. The latest came Saturday at home against Texas Tech, 35-34, and it was a roller coaster. The TCU took a 14-3 lead in the first quarter. A couple big plays by Savion Williams, a nice 36-yard run, and then a 75-yard pass play when he was lined up as a running back. But then Tech came back, scoring the next 28 points. The first 6 came on a fake field goal that pleased Red Raiders faithful and the Trump crowd out there, because the kicker flashed his T-shirt under there that said showed his support for Trump. That's all right. Hey. They're allowed to have opinions. Josh Hoover was stricken by a couple turnovers, a fumble that led to that fake field goal, and then an interception right out of halftime. But the Frogs managed to chip away at their 17-point deficit. Jeremy Payne, the freshman running back, he plowed in for a TD then after a Tech field goal. Hoover found tight end DJ Rogers to make it 34-28. The Frogs defense held. And then Hoover found Eric McAllister on an 81-yard TD play, with McAllister doing most of the work for the go-ahead score. He kind of caught the ball on his back shoulder, made a little spin move, and he was gone. So good score there, but Tech had plenty of time, and all they needed was a field goal to win the game, and the Red Raiders were kind of flirting with field goal range when 320-pound nose tackle Akeem Goliaja, from the Houston transfer. He hit the quarterback on a run play. Ball popped loose, and Marcus Deal hopped on it, and that was the ball game. I mean, TCU had to run out the clock, and then they had to withstand the goofy shenanigans. The last minute Cal band type play that Tech tried to pull off and failed miserably. So TCU improved to 5-3. They're 3-2 in Big 12 play. They're 1 win shy of bowl eligibility with 4 left to go. There are only 4 teams ahead of them in the Big 12, and they're one of 4 teams at 3-2. Up next is Baylor, a game that looked like a win a couple weeks ago, but the Bears are playing much better, and they're probably better than their record. If you'll kind of take that Colorado game into consideration, where they gave up the Hail Mary, kind of like the NFL Bears did on Sunday, they'd be 5-3. So anyway, if the Frogs are going to win in Waco, Coach Sonny Dykes said that they have to be able to run the ball. They've been doing that better the past 2 weeks since the open week, thanks to Williams, who's a wide receiver from Marshall, where he was a quarterback. He's a physical runner after catching passes, and he's as physical as heck after initial contact as a running back. But the Frogs can't just line him up for 30 carries. They have to pick their spots and find the favorable matchups.
I'm starting to see all our backs, I think, are getting better. You know what I mean? I think we're kind of inexperienced at that position. We've had a hard time, probably being as consistent as we need to be at that position. But I think everybody's getting better. I think getting Trent Battle back, his experience has made us better. I think, obviously Cam Cook has done some good things and to me is more decisive now than he was and is playing a little bit more downhill, which was important for him to do that. And then, Jeremy Payne's been a great change up for us and has come into games and provided a spark at times. And so, kind of as I talked about earlier with Baylor's groups, it's kind of a diverse group of running backs and they all have their different strengths. I'd like to see one emerge, and my hope is that that's going to happen here, next couple of weeks. But I do like the group. I do think they're getting better. I do think they all bring something different to the table. And they're all three can do different things.
Yeah. And then the Frogs need Battle and Payne and Cam Cook to be more effective. And they have been. Cook, he's been the primary guy much of the season. Now he's running with more confidence and getting downhill a little bit more. Battle has shown that he can do more than just be a third down back. And Payne has been quick and powerful. That TD run he had against Tech showed that. They're all good at picking up the pass rush, catching balls out of the backfield. Dykes has seen improvement from the actual running backs, including Battle. But still, the Savion thing, it's going to be part of the game plan.
Yeah, we've just got to be smart about it, and it's a package that, we had a couple of runs in week one, and and we kind of figured out quickly, hey, look, this is something that this guy can do. He's comfortable doing it. I think he can. He's big, he's physical, he runs hard. He's a north-south runner. He can break tackles. And so we had a little bit of an expanded package last week, and it's like anything else that you gotta pick your spots with that. I mean, that's not something that we can hang our hat on all the time, and we've got to have a run game besides sticking him in the backfield, and that's going to be important for us, especially this week. This is not a team, that you can drop back 50 times and try to throw the ball. You're going to play right into their hands if you do that, because they're going to have enough creative pressures. They're going to be hard to protect, and they'll attack your pressures, and they do a nice job doing that. And you're going to get some, pretty exotic stuff if you're dropping back, throwing all the time. So it's going to be important for us to run the football.
Yeah, TCU is riding a 4-game winning streak in the Baylor series as they're ready to play for the 120th time at 7 p.m. Saturday at McLean Stadium in Waco. Game's going to be on ESPN2. TCU leads the all-time series 59, 53, and 7. The first game of which was in 1899. It was a scoreless tie. A curious note, if you don't know TCU's history, TCU was actually located in Waco at the time. And TCU was there until 1910 when a fire destroyed the main building of the Waco campus. And really, Baylor wanted TCU to stay in Waco, and Waco wanted TCU to stay in Waco. But they got outbid by Fort Worth. Fort Worth offered $200,000 and a big chunk of land. This is where the campus is now. But like Sonny Dykes took time out early in his press conference Tuesday to talk about how well Baylor is playing. They beat the snot out of Tech on their at Lubbock on Red Raiders homecoming day, and then they went ahead and beat Oklahoma State. He's not playing real good, but still, it looks good when you can beat Oklahoma State. Sawyer Robinson, the quarterback, is not making as many mistakes. He's kind of a threat to run with the ball. And Sonny Dykes knows that the Frogs have to run it well if they're going to win Saturday night.
This year, to me, they've gotten better every single week, and that's what you want to see from a football team. And they've really done a nice job doing that. Completely different team now than it was early in the year. And look, they've played the two top teams in the league right now, BYU and Iowa State. Both those games were very, very competitive late in the second half. Obviously had Colorado beat, gave up a Hail Mary. So look, they've played really, really good football. And then the last 2 weeks against Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, they've really dominated those football games. And so, it's an improving football team, a really good team, I think, playing with a lot of confidence. You look at them and they're solid on offense, defense, and special teams are one of the best special teams outfits in the country. When you look at the total, all their special teams, they've got 3 units ranked in the top 10. Just a really good football team right now.
Nobody was saying that a couple weeks ago, so good for Dave Aranda. And they kind of circled the wagons after the loss at Folsom Field to Colorado on that last second pass that set up the overtime, and then the fumble into the end zone, and that ended the game. So good for them. My history with as a journalist in the series goes to 2006 when TCU went down to Waco with Jeff Ballard. Who got knocked out of the game in the first half. He got a concussion, I believe. And then Marcus Jackson stepped in. The Rangers, I do it every week. The Frogs win 17-7. The next week was the 12-3 win over Tech with the Speed Baby comment. TCU won the game a couple years later with Robert Griffin. Really flustered him. And then, of course, I guess the most notable game is the 2014 contest in Waco, 61-58. Baylor wins. They came back from 3 scores down in the fourth quarter. TCU couldn't get a first down to save its life late. The defense got tired. And then, there was the whole college football playoff argument. The co-championships of the Big 12, the co-champions of the Big 12, which Art Briles didn't like. Boo-hoo. And then Baylor and TCU both get left out of the first CFP playoff. TCU goes to the Peach Bowl and smokes Ole Miss. It wasn't even a game. Baylor goes to the Cotton Bowl, builds a big lead against Michigan State, only to see Michigan State come back and win the thing. So it was a tumultuous year that probably ended well for TCU, but I guess Baylor will always have the 6158 hashtag if they want. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the men's basketball team, which plays Arkansas on Friday in a charity game at Dickies Arena. You'll need to buy a program to keep track of all the names. But next, Trent Battle. Trent, if you're standing by, listen up to a couple of these ads. First up is the Sleeper app. I don't know if you're familiar with it, guys, but Sleeper is a daily pick'em contest. And I'm pretty much doing it daily at this point. I had a big win over the weekend. Here's Trent's an old baseball player, so he'll enjoy this. Friday night game of the World Series. I had a protected pick, so for $20, if I lost, I got all my money back. If I won $192. I needed Mookie Betts to score 1 run, and the only way he could do it late in the game was if either he hit a walk-off homer or if he was on base when somebody else hit a walk-off homer. And lo and behold, the Yankees walked Mookie Betts intentionally with 2 outs in the 10th, and Freddie Freeman hits a home run. Dodgers win. Jeff Wilson wins $192. It's real money, man. So download the app. You get $100 up to $100 match on your first deposit. Use code DLLS Frogs and start making money. And with all that money, you can then go to rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. That's the important thing. You see my hat, see the logo on the screen. It's a match. This is a Rhoback hat. I used the code. Excuse me. Golly, got a frog in my throat here. I used the code, the show code here that got me 10% off, and voila, here it is. But aside from their hats, Rhoback is known for their golf shirts, which are fantastic. They're moisture wicking. It's still 90 degrees here. All right. And so this way the sweat won't stick to you. The shirt won't stick to you because it'll get wicked off. But they make joggers. They make all kind of stuff. They take care of the ladies too. So look, use the code DLLS20 for generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all polos and hoodies. And now we got Trent Battle. There he is, the TCU running back, junior from Daphne, Alabama. We're going to get into that because that's one of my favorite areas in the country. But first, Trent, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. I'm glad you're healthy physically. How are you feeling?
I feel great, man. I'm just glad to be back. It's been a long process trying to get back, man. It's just thankful blessed to be out there.
So you got hurt late in camp. What? That's got to suck because the first game's coming up. But then, it wasn't just like a bruised pinky. How do you work to get back from an injury?
It was pretty difficult, especially because I'd never done something like hurting a knee or anything like that. But my dad's kind of being an athlete, a former athlete. He's dealt with injuries, and he was kind of like a big pillar for me to lean on during that process. But there's kind of 3 phases to it that he told me. First, you got to build your mind back up, because getting an injury like that as an athlete, like sports is part of our life. Like you lose that for a minute, and like you just become like a regular old, like you don't have that anymore for a while. So you got to kind of get back like your mindset into like, okay, like life goes on, like I'm still gonna be all right, like things are gonna be okay, they're gonna get better. And then the second phase he talked about was rebuilding your body. Like now I'm trying to get my range of motion back. Like you hadn't walked for 2 weeks, so now you got to relearn how to walk. You got to relearn how to do all these things. You got to relearn how to like just be kind of normal again. And then the third phase is kind of getting your game back, getting back on the field, trying to get as close to how you were before the injury, trying not to feel like any difference really. So just kind of going through that process and trusting it was huge. It was tough, I'll admit. One of the tougher things I've been through.
You came back for the Utah game, and so your first opportunity were you like, just hurry up and snap the ball? Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Mean, it was I mean, like I was on special teams that week. Like I was on kickoff return. Like I was excited. Like first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to hit somebody, and I wanted to hit somebody hard. So it was like first chance. I was telling the guys like, let's go out here, let's set the tone. Like let's just make something happen. Let's let them know that we're here. I was like, whether we fair catch it, we return it or not, like let's just go hit somebody really hard. And that was the plan on the first kickoff return. I was like, I just got to get like the jitters out. I haven't played in forever. So yeah.
All right. You want to go out and hit somebody. You're a former quarterback, man. How long did it take you to transition from that position to running back? And are you still learning things?
It took a minute, I'll admit, because like quarterback, I mean, it's not like I didn't run the ball. Like I ran the ball a lot, like a ton for my team in high school and everything like that. And so running was more natural, but there are so many like different intricacies that I wouldn't have known like first transitioning into running back that I've learned now that have helped so much, like especially through all the coaches, Coach Smith and Coach Jones that have been here since I've made that transition. They've each given me like tools and bits and pieces to try and help me become a better back.
Can you still throw though? I mean, are they going to let you? Are there any plays in which Trent Battle throws a pass?
I mean, I won't disclose anything, but I can still throw it. Yeah.
Well, I know Savion is a former quarterback too, and he says he has the best arm on the team. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Savion's a great athlete.
That's what he says. He is a great athlete. Has his ability to run the ball, has it helped you guys out, the actual running backs? Has it loosened up defenses at all?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely it helps out the team, everybody. It helps out everybody on the team. I mean, for us, like they get in when we're both on the field. You don't know who's getting the ball out of the backfield. Like it's kind of like a two-headed monster. Like you don't know if he's getting it. You don't know if he's giving it to us. You don't know if we're giving it to him. There's a lot of stuff we can do out of it. I mean, it just opens a lot of things up. People have to be cautious of everybody. So. Yeah.
So all right. So you guys have won 2 in a row. The bye week, I guess you guys went into it kind of licking your wounds. So how confident are you guys now? I mean, it seems like just in 2 weeks, all your fortunes have changed.
Yeah, I think our confidence is we're slow. We've started to learn. I think the bye week was big for us because we learned like that was a big loss. We didn't want to take that. Obviously, like that was not who we are. That's not the type of football we want to play. That's not who we like want to show the fans. That's not what we want to put on the field. And so going into the bye week, we kind of put our hard hats on, like got to work, realized what we needed to work on, we had to get better at, and we just grinded it out. And then came out against Utah, got a big W out there in Salt Lake City, and we kind of showed like, okay, like we're starting to get into ourselves. Defense played a great game. Offensively, we didn't play our best game, but we got the job done. And then the next week we go out at home, and we hadn't won a big game at home this year yet. And so this was big on our schedule. Like we got to go home, we got to win, we got to put one on for the fans. And to beat Tech like in the fashion that we did was huge for us, and it kind of showed us there's still so much we can keep doing. We can still get so much better. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you get a taste of it, but there's still so much more. Like as a team, we know we can do so much better.
Is that how you guys keep from being too confident? You know,
Yeah.
we're doing good, but we're not our best yet.
Yeah. And I think everybody on the team knows that. That's the attitude with everybody.
You know, I don't know when you signed in or hit the link, but I was talking about the TCU Baylor history, and I mentioned the 2014 game. I forgot about the 2022 game. How can I forget about that? The bazooka with the kids.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, you were on the sidelines.
I mean, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, that was something that we practiced. Like you kind of go through and you practice every week, and it's one of those things like you don't know if you'll ever use it. But then we get out there, it's a tight game. And that year was interesting because it's almost the same. And I feel the same way about this team this year. You know, we never feel like we're out of a game. And so think like time's winding down and everybody's still really calm. Nobody's panicking. Nobody's hit the panic button. And all of a sudden, like Griffin Kell goes out there last play of the game and kicked the game-winning field goal. And it's like we almost expected it to happen. Like it was just crazy. I mean,
I was in Colorado because it was right after Thanksgiving, and that's where I'm from. My family's from. I went to TCU, stuck around the area. I've never gone back, but I just remember thinking, man, you knew what was at stake. You know, undefeated team, the playoff, all that stuff, and everybody ran off the field. I was like, God dang it! First of all, I couldn't believe you run it, but hey, if you practice it, that's why you practice it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so that's the football side. You're also first team All Big 12 academic. What's your major?
Econ. I'm an economics major with a finance minor.
Okay. Are you almost done? Are you where are you in the?
Yeah. So I graduate in December.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. And then you're gonna have another year. So you're gonna get your graduate's degree.
I'm gonna get my master's.
Start working on your master's and all that. Yeah.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I mean, TCU has a great business school, as everybody knows, and I went to TCU. I majored in history because I was working at the newspaper already. So, but I enjoyed my time there. But the campus has changed so much. I'm almost 50. How does the campus? How does just Fort Worth appeal to you? Because you came from basically Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah. So when I came out on my visit, my biggest thing was I had been to a bunch of SEC schools, being from Alabama and being in SEC country. I had seen what that was like, and those schools are huge. Like there's a bunch of people, and it's you could probably like graduate and never see anybody like that you knew. But coming here, like I come from like a small town in Alabama. It's not that big, so I didn't really want to go somewhere and just be overwhelmed by like how many people and how big it was and everything like that. But TCU kind of gives you that small town feel, but there's still so much you can do out here. And that's like, I think a huge thing. That was huge for me because to have that small town feel, but to almost never be bored out here is big time. It's just, it's a really like everybody's welcoming, like it's a family and you get that traditional like feel. And it's just, the place felt really right for me.
Yeah. You know, as much as the campus has changed, what hasn't changed is that you can get from the football stadium to the business area and the business school in a 10-minute walk. It's basically like 3 or 4 blocks. And that's what appealed to me because my TCU story is we were coming down to take a college tour from a family reunion. I had some relatives who lived in Texas, and our air conditioner went out in the middle of the summer. And so we had to get that fixed. My dad was like, well, the car's getting fixed. Just go over to TCU and take a tour. And I was like, And I'll be damned. I didn't want to go anywhere else. That was it. I saw the campus, and I kind of helped that the gal who led the tour was really cute. But that was it for me. I was done. I was like, that's it. We can cancel the rest of the trip. But we kept going. But I was ready to cancel. So I wanted to make people aware and kind of get your thoughts on this. You did something with Channel 8, WFA, called their Wednesday's Child segment. A kid who's looking for a forever family. How did that come together, and what was it like interacting with that young fella?
I mean, it was definitely like an experience. I'd never done anything like that before, but to Matty Lou, our director of player personnel, he texted me and he asked me if I would be interested in doing something like that, and I said yes. Obviously, like it's huge for me. I feel like because it's huge for me to give back because I feel like people don't understand the platform that we're put on now, especially with NIL and things like that. We can do so much more and we can be so much more involved in the community. And so like when I went back home in July, I hosted a kids camp just for kids in like Daphne, Alabama and around the area. And so to get back to like the younger generation and to let them see how it can be done, like how you can get to school for free, how you can get how you can do all these things, and that it is possible, because I feel like nowadays a lot of statistics are thrown in people's face, like, oh, like it's not likely that you can do this, or there's only this percentage of kids get to go do this, and only this percentage of people get to go do that. But when you see somebody do it, and you see somebody that has done it and that is out there doing it, it makes it more real for you. It makes it feel like it's a lot more attainable. And so to do that back home, and then to come out here and to get out there and do these drills with him, and to kind of just interact with him and let him know that, like, hey, like, you can do it. Like, I don't know how many people have told you that, like, things feel like they're going bad, but you can do it. It depends on your attitude, your mindset, like how you look at it. It's all about your perspective. And I mean, he was a great kid. Like, he was really easy to work with. Loved every minute of it. I'm glad I got to do it.
Well, he said he wants to go to Colorado, so I mean, you got to get that out of him. Although that's where my parents went to school, but that's great, and it's awesome for you to do that. I did want to get into baseball because your dad played in the major leagues. Allen, he played for the Cardinals and the A's briefly for a couple seasons there in the mid '90s. You played baseball. Was football always going to be your deal? Was that, or were you pretty good at baseball too?
Well, I was pretty good at baseball too in high school. Early on, like, I was freshman on varsity, like, was playing, starting on the field and stuff. Had a great time, but I was a switch hitter in high school, like, hitting for average. It was fun. Like, I loved playing baseball. I loved the grind of baseball, like getting in there and just getting after it every day. But like, my thing was, in high school, I made a deal with my dad. I told him when I was like younger, I'd get a full ride scholarship somewhere. I didn't know how I was going to do it, what I was going to do, but I was going to get a full ride scholarship to do something. And then, like, later, like, when I was like, maybe, like, I didn't know until like maybe middle school that you didn't get a full ride for playing baseball. And so it was like only partial. Yeah. And so I was like, man, I'm about to go get a full ride playing football. These schools have already, I was like, some schools have already talked to me before. I was like, if that's a way easier way to do that. So that kind of made me make the switch to football in my sophomore year, and it was just straight up from there.
I mean, you know, my other job is covering the Texas Rangers, and I've been covering baseball for a long time. And I know what a cradle of baseball talent Mobile, Alabama is. Who's the greatest player from Mobile, Alabama?
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron. Damn right it's Hank Aaron. But it's Hank Aaron. Willie McCovey, Satchel Paige, Ozzie Smith, Billy Williams. They're all in the Hall of Fame. The Rangers, notable from that area. Bubba Thompson, their first-round pick, who's now with the Reds, I want to say. Great guy. I love Bubba. And then Blaine Krim, who's at AAA and one of my favorite guys, too. So, my family has vacationed in Fairhope down not far from you. We love it there and always have a great time. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Keep that knee healthy. Keep scoring. Keep getting yards and making tackles, hitting people, and winning ball games. You know, I graduated from TCU, so I can officially say go Frogs. So let's be Baylor this week.
Go Frogs.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Take care. I think I just told him thanks for having me.
I love it when these guys come on the show. They're great. You know, I mean, we've had a guest every week from the football team. We're trying to get basketball players lined up, and they're all just great. They talk just like him. Like, hey, man, you know, when I was his age, I probably would have wet my pants, but I still do, obviously, because I just told him thanks for his time, for crying out loud. All right, coming up next, we are going to start talking about men's basketball. But before we do that, we got to talk about floors. All right. And, you know, basketball plays on a floor. When I was a kid, I always wanted a parquet floor like Boston Garden. I wanted that in my house, throughout my house when I got older. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to look into it with Empire Today, because you get $350 off new floors when you use EmpireToday.com/DLLS. Here's why you need to go to Empire Today. All they do is flooring, whether it's carpets or hardwoods, maybe parquet, who knows? And that's their field of expertise. So, like, if you were to go to a big box store and talk to a guy or lady about floors and carpet, they might have just sold somebody a leaf blower. You know, so you're really zeroing in on what you need with Empire Today. It's shop at home convenience. They have a virtual floor designer where you can just pop it up on your phone and see what the carpet or the flooring you look like or you want is going to look like. Again, EmpireToday.com. Schedule free in-home estimate and use EmpireToday.com/DLS for $350 off. And then with all that money, you can go to a concert or a TCU game or a Rangers game or any kind of game via the Game Time app. Game Time, if you don't know, it's become one of the leaders in getting you tickets for events that might be sold out, or hey, you just popped up, saw something on the side of the road, and like, hey, I want to go. You drove past AAC and saw some kick-ass show you want to go see. Well, Game Time is the place to go. You download the app. It gives you all sorts of information, like a panoramic seat view, and it gives all-in pricing, which is huge because those ticket prices can get out of control sometimes. All-in pricing so that there are no surprises at the end of your deal. So here's what you need to do. You need to download the app. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Create an account. Use DLLS for 20% off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account. Redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Usually we have 3 guests on the show, but this week we couldn't get a basketball player on because they are practicing right now. We couldn't set up a taping. So nevertheless, Jamie Dixon made himself available Tuesday after Sonny Dykes and the football press conference. Look, the basketball season's upon us. The Frogs' regular season starts Monday. Home game against Florida A&M. I believe they are called the Rattlers from the SWAC, and then they're going to play Florida Gulf Coast, which is a good little program. They got a lot of attention not too long ago for being an NCAA tournament team. But TCU, the big thing is that this Friday, all right, in 2 days, November the 1st, they are playing a charity basketball game against John Calipari in Arkansas at Dickies Arena. This is something that the NCAA is allowing teams to do now. It's a preseason scrimmage, does not count as a win or a loss for either club, but it's to raise money for charity. TCU will be raising money for Cook Children's in Fort Worth there. And then Arkansas is also doing a similar thing for a children's hospital in Fayetteville. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com. If you want to get a quick look at the Frogs, get your ticket, get out there and see them. If you haven't been to Dickies, it's fantastic. Now, drawn on last week's show when we had John Denton of the Flying T Club on, all the things that he said about name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal apply to this year's TCU basketball team. I think more than any sport in the college ranks, men's basketball, maybe women's basketball too, when you look at the TCU women's roster, the money has players fleeing programs year to year, no matter how successful they've been. And the Frogs roster is a prime example of that. After earning a reputation for keeping players and building continuity, Coach Jamie Dixon is now faced with team building on the fly and hoping that newcomers stick around for a few seasons. Gone from last year's team is more than 90% of their scoring. They went to the NCAA tournament last year, but with all those departures and newcomers coming in, the Frogs have been picked to finish 10th in the preseason poll in the expanded Big 12 Conference. If TCU is to go to a 4th straight big dance, it needs to find points in the high-tempo offense that Dixon likes to run. The key to that, though, is defense and rebounding. And the one returning player who scored points from 23-24 is Ernest Uday Jr., the big man. He could be the key to all of that. Dixon said that the Frogs need him to be the best center on the floor each game.
Honest, he's, like we said, he's the 2% or 4% of our scoring back, and rebound and defense are the priority. We're definitely getting the ball inside more to our 5 men this year, and we had a focus on that yesterday's practice too, because we think we've gotten a little bit away from that. So that's it's very important. He's the returning guy. He's such a great teammate and such a great kid and so outgoing, and everybody loves him on campus and so friendly and great personality. But we need production, and that's really what we've talked to him about, and leadership. And he's he's such a great kid that everybody loves him, and so you got this big guy that's laughing and talking to everybody around campus. But we need rebounding to go with that too, rebounding and defensive.
The backcourt is all new with a bevy of transfers who came in and some freshman players. Dixon did find some veterans in Frankie Collins from Arizona State, Noah Reynolds from Wisconsin Green Bay. He was an all-conference player there. And then Vashon Alette from Old Dominion. And Dixon has not been surprised that trio has been the Frogs' 3 best players.
There's obviously 2 that have really stood out, and those were the 2 we expected, and that's Frankie and Noah. They have the most experience, clearly. Frankie, played on NCAA tournament teams, and we obviously played against him in the tournament. So he's experienced. He's a pass first. He missed he got hurt in the first scrimmage, and then we kind of struggled at that after that. So we need him out there. He's first practice back was yesterday, so we need him out there. Defensively, he can really disrupt, but we need him to really take care of the basketball, get other guys shots, and make open shots. And then Noah has clearly probably been our best player, most consistent player throughout practice, and so he's done the best job, I would say, decision making, making open shots. And then Vashon's been clearly the 3rd best guard, and he's playing well. He's the guy that's probably improved the most as we've gone. If I had to pick somebody, Malik's was based on not playing, but like adapting and improving his game, I'd say Vashon. Had 2 really good practices, the last 2, taking care of the basketball, played all point guard too. So he's the 3rd guard, and which we anticipated, but we need him to. Our hope is that our 3 guards are better than the 3 guards we had last year. That's how we can be better as a team. That's how we can be better. We had 3 new guards last year too, as well. Bringing in new guards every year is not a it's not a great formula, but that's the situation we're in, and obviously we know what that comes down to. So you've got to develop them, then you got to be ready to keep them. Is going to be the challenge going forward.
Among the true freshmen that Dixon was talking about Tuesday are Malik Robinson, who did not play his senior year of high school, but is highly regarded nonetheless. David Punch, a couple redshirt guys, Isaiah Manning from Mansfield, and Jace Posey, whose dad played in the NBA. They redshirted last year. They're going to be on the floor. They range from like 6'5" to 6'8", so they're kind of forward three guys, but very athletic and long and can play defense. And their best value might be on defense, where the Frogs need to force turnovers to create fast break points. They are all going to play, all right? Frogs don't have any choice after seeing the departures after last season amid the NIL transfer portal area that Dixon doesn't seem to be a big fan of.
We knew we were going to be playing new guys, and there was no question on that. But we had high expectations for every guy because we had to. We brought them in to play, and with the opportunity to play, there were minutes available. Unique situation, and certainly unique to the programs I've had. My thing has been retention. That was people used to. How do you never have guys transfer at Pitt? How do you guys lose very few guys at TCU? Now that money's come into play, we're going to lose guys, unless we change some things. And that's certainly the timing of it. No shocks there or anything. But retention was the strength of our programs at Pitt and early on at TCU. The rules changed, games changed, and you adapt. And you just you got to evaluate and without watching them play, watch them on film and analytics and go from there. But for obvious reasons, not telling you.
Jamie Dixon's been great for a long time, but I think that the the transfer portal has gotten to him here the last few years. This is year 9 for Dixon, and his teams have always been built, believe it or not, with Desmond Bain and Kenrich Williams, Mike Miles, have always been built on defense and rebounding. He must have said a dozen times Tuesday that defense and reboundings are the key in the Big 12, which without question is the toughest and deepest conference in college basketball. Houston had the number 1 defense in the country last season and was one of the best teams. I mean, it's a correlation there that's hard to argue with. TCU has already played a scrimmage this month. They played Texas. Did not go particularly well. You can find the score online and look for yourself. It was a 30-point game. But the Frogs in the last 2 weeks have really put the focus back on their defense heading into this Arkansas scrimmage and the season opener again on Monday. Dixon said that scheduling Texas and Arkansas, top teams, was by design to help accelerate the learning process, accelerate the improvement, and give guys a test for what they're going to be up to once Big 12 conference play rolls around. TCU opens with Arizona, on the road, and it's just going to be tough. The non-conference slate's a little bit tougher this year, so putting their feet to the fire, I guess, if you will. But the goals haven't changed for Dixon and TCU. The goal is reaching the NCAA tournament. Coming up, Jamie Plunkett, who knows all things about TCU sports, he's our closer. Doesn't get paid like a closer, but that's okay. And then we'll dive into all sorts of stuff. So hang around. We need to keep paying bills here, so it's time to talk about becoming a die-hard member. And we want you to be a die-hard member so much that we've introduced an introductory rate of $48 a year. All right, that's $4 a month. If you followed me here the last few years, you know that I had my own Texas Rangers website called Rangers Today, and our annual costs $5 a month. All right, this is $4 a month. That's less than a Starbucks, or at least the ones that I've been drinking lately. So put down the coffee for one day a month. Get yourself a diehard membership that gives you access to all of the written content at DLLS, my Ranger stories that go behind the paywall, Cowboys, Mavs, Stars, eventually some TCU stuff. It's so worth the money. It's mind-boggling. Plus, you get a free shirt like this sweet TCU shirt, which is available at store.allcitynetwork.com. I have 4 shirts, 3, this one, 2 Rangers, and then a DLLS shirt. They're sharp, man, and they're so soft. This material's so soft. I wore it the other day out to my son's baseball games in Waxahachie when it was 90 degrees. They handled the heat very, very well. I was never uncomfortable. I was never wishing to God I'd worn something else. This is the high kind of quality shirt that you want to put on your body and wear. You can work it out. You can work out in them, or you can just hang out in them. They're just so comfortable. So again, that's store.allcitynetwork.com. And to become a diehard, go to alldls.com/join-diehard. All right, Jamie, how we doing? Hey, you're at home today. All right.
Yeah, we're at home today. I was trying to type in that link you were reading out loud.
Yeah. Did I read it too fast? Store.allcitynetwork.com. We'll have a shirt for you next time I see you. I will have one for you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great news.
Okay, cool.
That's why I do this, it's for the
just
shirts.
For the free shirt. All right. Well, swag can get a lot of journalists in a lot of trouble. I've known that. So hey, I appreciate you. Hope there's no construction going on outside your house, unlike last week in Kansas City when ESPN was tearing things down. What was your takeaway from that Texas Tech football game the other day?
2 teams that really needed a win, and neither team wanted to go and grab it for a minute there. But it was good. I think that TCU came out on the right end of it, simply because this is a team that has been trying to capture some sense of momentum for a couple of weeks. Could never really figure it out before the bye week. Came away from Utah with a really nice win, and now they seem to have really captured that elusive momentum with this win over Texas Tech. How much longer they can carry that forward is yet to be seen, but the schedule breaks out pretty nicely for them over the last 5 weeks of the regular season. So I think it was really nice to see the defense step up again against an offense that was much more capable of throwing the football against TCU than Utah was. I think it was really good to see the offense bounce back after more turnovers. The explosive plays were back, which was good to see. A lot of positives to take away from that win for sure, but also still some of the same questions that we have about the offensive line. Taj Brooks ran for 120 yards. Who's TCU's running back? Because I don't think he can continue to be Savion Williams. So there's some questions, but I think there were some good answers there too on Saturday.
Did you have you talked to Trent Battle? He was just on. He's awesome. What a great kid.
Oh
yeah,
I love Trent. He's fantastic. He's so smart, and just he's one of those kids who you can't help but cheer for. I know that we're not necessarily in the business of cheering for players or teams, but he's just a good dude. He's worked his butt off since he got to TCU and is finally starting to see some of the reward of all that hard work. So, yeah, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, you talked about the schedule. Baylor this weekend, then I think at Arizona. Cincinnati is the last game. Oklahoma State, Kansas State are still in there. Home games for Oklahoma State and Kansas State, which is, I think, pretty important. But the Frogs hadn't been very good at home, so I guess it's good to see them win this home game. But anyway, bowl eligibility is a win away. I kind of want them to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I don't know what you think about that, just because it sounds so gimmicky and ridiculous.
Hey, look, I mean, we're talking about a team that's been to the Cheez-It Bowl, so why not the Pop-Tarts Bowl too? Have a little dessert after your bowl full of Cheez-Its. But no, Pop-Tarts Bowl is great. They did some of the best bowl marketing of any game last year with the edible mascot. I mean,
that's right.
If I could find a way to get down onto that field and take a bite of the mascot, that would be pretty great.
I don't know. That seems like disease waiting to happen.
Look, everything is a disease waiting to happen, Jeff. Let's just lean in.
That's right. We've lived for the last 4 years.
True.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's go for that one. Pop-Tarts Bowl. There's the bowl. The Big 12 has 6 tie-ins this year, but the Pop-Tart Bowl is in Orlando, so we can go to Disneyland or World, I guess. The Alamo Bowl, of course. Texas Bowl, the Liberty Bowl. I guess that'd be all right in Memphis. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl and the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. We don't want that one. We do not want to go to Shreveport.
No. Guaranteed Rate is in Phoenix, right? That's what you.
So that one's good too, because it's by the same Fiesta Bowl people run it. It's at the same hotel where we enjoyed ourselves greatly for the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago. So, all right. So it's not all football at TCU. Women's soccer, Big 12 champs. And it turns out that one of their best players, Seven Castaigne, is Trent Battle's girlfriend. So, hey, he's a big soccer guy, I guess.
Hey, how about that? I did not know that.
Big scoop.
But shout out, big scoop right there. That's some breaking news. Yeah, Seven is fantastic. She had a great year, scored a ton of goals. Oli Pena, one of her counterparts there in the midfield, just was named Big 12 Midfielder of the Year, which is pretty cool. Eric Bell just won his 3rd Big 12 Coach of the Year title. So all the accolades are starting to roll in for that team, which is really great to see. And now they get an opportunity to be the 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament, which actually begins as we're speaking, Jeff. Ooh. And so the first round is going today. TCU doesn't play. They've got a bye week for their for their 1 seed. So they don't play until Saturday at 2. But really cool opportunity for Eric Bell and his squad to bring home a little bit more hardware. That's the 22nd Big 12 championship that TCU has won since joining the league in 2012. That's a fun fact for everybody to
That is a good fact. That is a good one.
And it'll be cool to see how far this team can go. You know, they got tested early in the season. They lost some tough games to Notre Dame and Texas A&M, but they've grown so much since then. The freshmen have gotten much better and more consistent. They've found some good pieces on defense as well. So I'm interested to see how this team can compete now versus earlier in the season when it comes down to playing some of those best teams. Yeah,
this is a top 10 team. So, curious to see what happens. Volleyball is still doing good, but now it's basketball time. I know we've talked about it. You were there last week. Listened to Coach Dixon yesterday. I was unable to attend, but it seemed like he's had his hands full just trying to put this roster together. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even in the era of transfers and NIL and everything else, to only return one player that played minutes for you last year seems like a little bit of an extreme situation. And I hopped on. I heard the clip of him talking about his guard play, and he's right. I think the guard play was part of the big issue last year, especially defensively for this team. They were late rotating a lot. They didn't cover the backdoor pass a lot. And that hurt TCU quite a bit. This is a much better defensive guard unit than we saw from TCU a year ago, with Frankie Collins kind of headlining that. So I think that's an area where TCU will be stronger this year. Questions still remain about rebounding because they're not as big as some of these other Big 12 teams in the front court. They've got Ernest Uday, obviously, but some of their other bigs are not as big as you would like. So I'll be interested. I think it's going to be a really critical year for TCU men's basketball to take that next step forward, right? Making the tournament is a really good thing, and only 68 teams make it every year. But I think TCU fans are kind of ready for, getting out of the first weekend. So we'll see if this is the team to do it. I think they're maybe still a year away from making a deep run, but they've got the potential to make some noise this year, I think.
Yeah, it seems like you're right. The size after Uday, drops off. It seems like a bunch of athletic guys that are like long, fast athletes who will be good in transition, but they got to rebound. I guess that's always kind of been a TCU thing, and I know it has been with Jamie, but it just seems like they need more than one guy. They need more than Uday, and then he has to stay on the floor.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is if he gets banged up like he did last year, or if he gets into foul trouble like he did early in the season, that could cause some issues. I think they've got some, like you mentioned, athletic wings, right? Isaiah Manning, Brendan Wenzel, Trezarian White, some of these guys who I think are athletic enough to make some noise rebounding. Micah Robinson, a freshman, is another kid who's just an all-world athlete. I've loved watching him practice this fall. But it's about doing it consistently. And not just defensively, but also on the offensive side of things. Can you get rebounds and second chances? And that's the big question mark, and the only way we'll find out is by playing some basketball games. Fortunately, we've got an exhibition to watch against Arkansas on Friday night. We'll see about that one over at Dickies Arena. The cool thing about that, though, shameless plug for the team, it is a charity game, so half of the money is going to Cook's Children's, half of the money is going to the Arkansas Children's Foundation. So if you haven't bought a ticket yet to go to Dickies to see TCU and Arkansas play an exhibition game, do so. It's going to a really good cause, and you'll get a preview of TCU men's basketball and John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
That's right. Even if you don't go to the game, just buy a ticket. Just just donate some money.
They're like $20 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Yeah, it's pretty interesting about that. The Calipari move that just shocked everybody because he was at Kentucky, and then Kentucky's a top 5 job, easily in college basketball, and lo and behold, he goes. So I wonder if some sanctions are coming or something terrible. It wouldn't be the first time. Hey, he's done that before. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So
don't ask Memphis fans about John Calipari.
Yeah. No kidding. I always look this up. These guys. Because these guys, when I was a kid and you were younger, they were like the young hotshot coaches. And here they are still going at it. John Calipari, he's actually kind of young, 65 for Coach Cal, born in 1959. But they showed Rick Pitino at the Yankees game the other night. He's like 100. I mean, it's ridiculous. And he's starting to show it too. Coach K, of course, was older. Roy Williams has gotten out. So you're kind of seeing a new wave of coaches, I guess, come in, but there's still some old guys out there, and you're just shocked. Like here's one that'll get you. God dang it. The basketball announcer who says onions, Bill Rafferty. He's like 80 something.
Yeah, he's ancient.
Yeah. So crazy stuff, Jamie. We're getting old, but and then the women's side, they are, the men's open the regular season on Monday. The women aren't far behind them. I still just think that this team's got a chance.
Yes. I was out at practice today watching the women play, talked to a couple of them after as well. And the expectations internally for this team are incredibly high, which is very interesting considering the fact that TCU was 1-17 in Big 12 play 2 seasons ago. And going through a coaching change and trying to figure out what was next for the program. You hire Mark Campbell from Sac State. And he has just immediately, because of his recruiting chops from his time at Oregon, turned this thing around, just bringing in the talent that's necessary, building some depth on the roster this season, and figuring out a way to get all of these big-time personalities and big-time star players to play a team game in a kind of collaborative, really interesting way. They're going to spread the floor. They're going to run the pick and roll. They're going to shoot the heck out of the basketball. They got tons and tons and tons of shooters, and they're going to force teams to pick their poison. Hey, do you want Haley Van Lith to get hers and beat you off the dribble and get to the rim? Do you want to allow Sedona Prince to get involved in the pick and roll and find mismatches against your guards? Are you content with dropping your defense down to guard Sedona Prince and leaving Madison Connor, Maddie Shear, Donovan Hunter, Taylor Bigby, Natalie Mazurek open to shoot 3-pointers? The weapons that this team has offensively are incredible and varied. And I think that this is a really cool thing that TCU fans are about to experience from women's basketball. Not to mention the schedule. They've got 4 of the top 10 favorites to win the national championship on the schedule this year. They play South Carolina at Dickies on December 8th. They play NC State coming to Schollmeyer in the fall. They play Notre Dame at a tournament, and then they play Iowa State in conference play. All of those teams are projected top 8, top 9 teams in the country. So you're going to see this team pretty early play some of the top competition, including the defending national champs. And we're going to see what they're made of. And I think they're made of quite a bit. It's going to be fun to watch.
They're the ladies open their season Tuesday night at home against Houston Christian, then New Orleans, Texas State, then NC State on the 17th. So that'll be the first test to see how Mark Campbell's squad is doing. And yeah, I mean, you talk about star players. I mean, if you just go by Instagram followers alone, TCU's got to be the top in the Big 12. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what a star is now. So anyway, but good for them and all their success. Shoot, make as much money as you can. While you can get it, because they're gonna make more in college than they will in the WNBA. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully they get an affordable apartment, get yourself some sponsorship deals.
Yeah, not $8,000 a month.
No, not $8,000 a month. Ridiculous, just ridiculous. But I will say, I think it's good. I think it's good that the league is growing, right? I think they just announced some expansion teams. They're getting more money coming in.
Aren't they on strike though? Aren't the players on strike?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I look, man, we're in the throes of football season. I'm just trying to keep my head above water with the college sport. And then we've got obviously the purple and white series for baseball this week as well. I don't have time to talk about the WNBA strikes or anything like that. But I do think it's cool that the league is expanding. I do think it's cool the kind of support that they're getting from the NBA, not only from the league, but from the NBA players as well. I think that goes a long way to building popularity with it. And I think it's just cool to see TCU kind of striking while the iron is hot, creating a culture and a program that is going to be a winner at a time where the entire sport is taking off. I think it's when you talk about how athletics programs are going to continue to survive and thrive and generate revenue, sports being good is one of the best ways you can do that. And doing that in women's basketball right now, I think is critically important.
All right, so go to 247 Sports, check out the Frogs Insider podcast. Jamie's going to be apparently at basketball Friday, football Saturday, baseball Sunday, and basketball Monday, and women's basketball Tuesday. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've forgotten what my children and my wife look like at this point, but we'll figure it out.
That's okay. It all works itself out. Trust me on that one. All right, Jamie, thanks for joining us. Episode 8, we're in the books. We'll see you next week when we're going to have a new president, at least in theory. We'll see what happens. Yeah, next week. Next Wednesday, it's the day after the election, but they'll still be counting somewhere.
Yeah, go vote. Everybody vote.
Yeah, go vote. All right. All right, Jamie, see ya. Everybody, thanks for watching. Trent Battle, thank you for your time. Sorry I stumbled there and made it weird at the end, but what are you going to do? At least I caught myself. Football Saturday at Waco. A lot of stuff happening as the winter sports heat up and kind of intertwine with the fall sports. So if you're a TCU fan, go to gofrogs.com and find a schedule and go watch something. Go down in Fort Worth. Again, thanks to our guests, Jamie Plunkett and Trent Battle, and we will see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.